What do you think of when you anticipate a second season of a show you love? Maybe you imagine a new villain-centric arc as a newly introduced, more powerful foe ramps up the stakes of the series. Maybe there's an additional conflict introduced, external or otherwise, that plagues the characters in a way that serves as a continuation of the first season's themes. Maybe time has passed, characters are older now, and the story is maturing alongside them. Maybe you're lucky to get a second season at all.
I don't wanna!
There are endless ways to continue a story, all completely subjective. After all, storytelling is an art, not a science. There are conventions and techniques and tropes and character archetypes, but it's really up to the writers, directors, artists, and storytellers to put these pieces together into something that either works to continue the story and elevate the material, or, doesn't. But for Frieren, it's a little different. Frieren is currently the top-rated anime of all time on my anime list. This isn't just your average anime du jour coming back from some time away. This is the Sopranos of anime. This is post To Pimp a Butterfly Kendrick Lamar. This is a series that a large contingent of people already consider to be the best to ever do it. So it isn't a question of will season 2 be good, it's will it be great. Whether you think the greatest of all time status is fair or not, maybe you're unk enough to remember Full Metal Alchemist as the top of anime, not once but twice, you certainly have to respect Frieren's place in the modern pantheon, perhaps the defining fantasy series of the 2020s, if not the defining anime period. But now, we have the problem that Frieren's second season faces in real time. How do you follow up an all-time great season of anime? How do you follow up something everybody thinks is perfect? And even though it's just been a single episode, I think we have Frieren's answer. When I think of effective season openers in long-running series, you have to take into account a few different things: the characters, their place in the current arc, the aftermath of the previous season, and where we are in the story. In a static fictional narrative, you typically have a beginning, rising action building to a climax, and then the denouement leading to the end of the story. But rarely does television actually look like this. You could take a similar graph and apply it to a single episode, or even a single scene, but rarely does an entire run of a show feel this neat. There are usually multiple points of rising action, many climaxes that don't just fade into nothing, but raise the tension of the entire series. So the next reveal hits even harder, the next conflict is even more intense, and the entire pattern begins again. A season opener then should ideally not only serve as a resolution of the previous season finale, but also as something that makes its own statement. If that was last season, here's this season. Whether it's a new villain, a new major arc for a character, a change in setting or character design, or something even more radical, a season premiere is here to tell you that from this point on, everything has changed, that the story from last season had consequences. And if there were consequences, now the characters have to deal with an emergent conflict in the wake of what transpired. Manga stories are typically divided into arcs, revolving around a villain, location, event, or, other traumatic life experiences. So when a manga is being adapted into an anime, there are usually predetermined entry points to serve as clean breaks in between seasons. Some will follow this to a T, like every season of One Piece being the next destination the Straw Hats sail off to, or a show like Jujutsu Kaisen being essentially one-to-one, with its arcs fitting perfectly in between the runtime of a season of television. But other anime are a bit more abstract with their cutoff points. What is an arc in an anime like Cowboy Bebop, or Heavenly Delusion, or Delicious in Dungeon? And a better question, does it even really matter? Frieren is an interesting case here because the answer is yes and no. The Mage Exam is the closest thing the show has to a traditional anime arc so far, and there's certainly episodes that tell sequential stories, but so much of Frieren is rooted in episodic, self-contained, Iyashikei-style vibes. What does that mean for where our characters are at this point in the story? What does it mean for an entry point to a new season? Frieren's Season 2 premiere begins right where the finale left off, nearly the same sentence. After a quick pause in the city outskirts, the group continues their journey, almost identical to the pilot episode of Season 1. No fanfare, no fallout, no huge moments, no recap, just continuing on the road to Enda. The episode tells a familiar episodic micro-narrative about Stark's bravery, or lack thereof, and how even if you have to run from a fight, hell, you do that as a party together too. The episode toys with this idea that Stark's mounting insecurity might be something pushing him away from Fern and Frieren, culminating in Verbal offering to recruit him for, a few years. As Frieren and Fern wonder what Stark will do, letting us wonder if this is going to be another Zion situation, Stark is quick to shut it down in this heartfelt late-night conversation with Fern, their relationship seemingly deepening. It's sweet, it's nostalgic, it's tonally and thematically exactly what we've come to expect this show to be, and I think that's exactly what it's going for. This is Frieren playing the hits, doing exactly what Frieren does, and in a way, that's just as much recap as actually showing a recap on screen. Frieren's statement with Season 2 is that there is no statement. You were expecting a big, bombastic hype and aura moment, a true season opener, but why? Frieren's never been about that. Since the very beginning, the name of the game for Frieren has always been the deconstruction of a fantasy story. We're starting decades after the conflict, in an age of peace where what drives the characters isn't some heroic call to action, but a journey for a friend. For a second season to not mark any sort of real change, but just continue ever onward, well, it's exactly the sort of commitment to the tone of this story that even years later still makes Frieren feel so special in a world where everything is trying its best to grab your attention. Pretty much the sole critique that's levied at Frieren, aside from weird demon discourse that I'm entirely too late to make any kind of video about, is that it's boring. But I think boring is the wrong descriptor. It's just a fundamental misunderstanding of what the show is and trying to accomplish. In an attention economy where Demon Slayer has conditioned people to expect fight scenes paced like TikTok edits, and Jujutsu Kaisen has made aura farming more important than character writing, Frieren really shines by taking its foot off the gas and pulling over to enjoy the view. And by doubling down on boring and reintroducing the series with yet another quiet, contemplative episode, we're seeing Frieren underline its thesis that this isn't like other anime, and not in a lame pick-me way, but genuinely. This is an anime that's trying to be the filler episodes, an anime that wants those mundane moments in full view for everyone to see. And it's through these quiet moments that we do notice how different things are this time around. Just because the show doesn't spell it out for you doesn't mean the changes aren't there. Frieren notices an awkward pause in conversation when she probably wouldn't have picked up on it before. She now occasionally speaks with the resolve of a leader. There are moments when Frieren talks, and it's exactly the kind of reassuring speech that Himmel might have made. Fern is more receptive to her feelings and the feelings of others. Stark is, well, pretty much still Stark, but he realizes his place isn't with Verbal or anywhere else. He is the front line of this party, and he knows that's where he wants to be. Growth is gradual. Sometimes it doesn't feel like there's been a seismic shift. Sometimes a change isn't something you notice right away. But that doesn't mean things still are the way they were. And for Frieren's new season, we're seeing a party that's come a long way. The butterfly imagery in the ending theme isn't an accident. We've seen how much Frieren has changed. And that's why this season premiere works. Not because there's anything flashy or something earth-shatteringly different, but because it is the same. And it reminds us just how far we've come. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. A huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon and my YouTube channel members whose names will be on the screen. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. It really goes a long way. And if you'd like to see your name up here in my credits section, be sure to check out the Patreon. And in the meantime, leave a comment. What did you think about Frieren's Season 2 premiere? Did it live up to the hype? Were you expecting more? And where do you think this season is going to take our characters? As always, I've been Dom. This has been Frieren, and until next time.